Hello, it's Dr. Courtney, also the Courting Happiness podcast. Have you checked out our happiness library? It's a carefully curated library with books that I highly recommend that are a must for your happiness library. Go to drcourtneyalston.com/happiness library. That's drkortneyalston.com/happiness library. The authors you will hear on the podcast can also be found in our happiness library. You can also purchase their books on our site. On top of that, your purchase also helps this podcast and the mission of courting happiness. Let's spread happiness and the word. Check out books on the Courting Happiness library. It will not only change your life, but it can also help you with your next chapter too. Let's get back to the podcast. Welcome to the Courting Happiness podcast. This is a space where self-care becomes part of your day. A space where you learn evidence-based strategies to help your life, share it with those you love, and cultivate well-being at work. I'm your host, Dr. Courtney Alston. I'm a former news director, television reporter turned happiness scholar, TEDx speaker, and transformational trainer. I also understand hardships. While working my dream job in television, I lived a nightmare suddenly becoming a young widow after 86 days of marriage. I became committed to learning more about resilience, healing, and happiness. This is how I discovered my area of research, which is positive psychology. Now I'm living my calling of training individuals and organizations on happiness. And my new chapter begins with being happily engaged. The Courting and Courting Happiness is about a true courtship. I like to say commitment with happiness. The K in courting stands for the vulnerability of sharing my story, inspirational interviews with phenomenal people, the infusion of positive psychology, and so much more. You'll learn how to commit to your well-being one episode at a time. I hope you subscribe and share. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome to episode 73. I'm Dr. Courtney Alston. I am so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for listening. So the pandemic has had many of us rethinking our career plans, especially how or even where we work. In the United States, we have seen evidence of this with millions of Americans quitting their job. And recently I posted an article speaking to that was produced by CNBC that got people talking on my page. And I thought, hey, I think that's worth talking about on my podcast. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to kind of process it and discuss it, and for you to share really what you feel about this article. Well, the headline said this company found a cure for employee burnout, a 4-day work week. I said it. A 4-day work week. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about the importance or the value of the 4-day work week and what that can mean towards our well-being at work, and also really highlighting some of the lessons learned from the CEOs that decided to create this 4-day work week. Well, in the article, which you can actually find and read the article on our website on this episode page, which is drcourtneyalston.com/podcast/episode 73. And it features two of the founders of this online children's clothing retailer, which is, their names are Primary. And these co-CEOs share that they went to a 4-day work week during the pandemic. And this is what's so eye-opening. They say that they have no plans on going back. And I really value that. Really, it showed a true compassion at work by understanding their team and spending really countless weeks seeing how their team was juggling their work and home life, and also noticing that it was taking a toll on their employees. I really value the fact that they are leaders that are really leading with empathy and compassion. And after they shortened the work week to a 4-day work week, they notice instant change. How about that? Instant change. They saw that their team were returning to work and they felt rejuvenated. And they felt clearly a level of, recharge because of having this time. They also saw the value of having their team have time for catching up with everything from thinking about a problem, right? Because we need time to process that, to those doctor's appointments that you haven't had a chance to get around to. That in itself speaks to so much in terms of the reality of what our lives are, right? In terms of being able to balance work as well as life. And so I really value that they saw that and that they value the process of people having that time. And then it's interesting, I don't think we even talk about enough in the workplace about the time to just think through things, that we need time to process, to really be able to, really spend time on a problem or time with trying to create a solution. And so some things aren't just like snap, right? Just like that. Some things need time to kind of process, for you to really think through. And so I really treasure that they valued seeing their team having this time to kind of catch up on everything, right? From problems and being solutions oriented to doctor's appointments, being able to focus in on their health. So this is a company with a true leadership team that really cites what they call twin goals: employee wellness combined with the company's overall success. Now, in the article, it mentioned a scholar who is just incredible in regards to her research, and her name is Juliet Schor, and she's a sociology professor at Boston College, and I really value what she shared. She said this, and I quote, "People are coming to the idea that we need to be better in the workplace," end quote. And she adds this, quote, "We need to be humane." We need to be humane. Absolutely. I will say, as a college professor, I've noticed a difference between this semester. I have an abbreviated work week, so to speak, meaning my classes this semester meet 3 times a week. And then also I have a course reduction this semester where I'm teaching 3 classes this semester at my institution. Normally, on other semesters, I may be balancing 4 classes. And so the course reduction this semester allows me to focus on my research. So, 3 days out of the week, I come in and I teach. And then 2 days out of the week, it's really for me to focus on my research. Now, this is in a perfect world, right? This is in a perfect world in terms of that plan. The reality is that I'm coping with health issues, and my days have been spent really kind of a combination of both research and doctor's appointments. And so I am truly grateful to be able to have this schedule, especially this semester, so I can get really super focused as it relates to my health and then always my well-being, right? That's something that I'm always processing and being the happiness scholar and thinking about what it looks like, not for me, right? And in terms of my own family. So I really value and treasure that these incredible CEOs see the value in the 4-day work week. And I feel it's important to say that because of even, for the fact that they were giving their team this time to focus in on their doctor's appointments, which clearly really resonates with me, right? I think it's important to share this because it says a lot, because we often can look at someone and may not understand the complexities that are going on in their life. But what I love so much about the value of compassion at work, it speaks to really being empathetic. And doctors Monica Worline and Jane Dutton share this in their incredible research and also in their book called Awakening Compassionate Work, The Quiet Power That Elevates People and Organizations. I've often talked about their work on the podcast, and I've also written about their work as well. What I love is that they urge us to focus on empathy in two ways. First is cognitive, which is perspective taking. This is our ability to kind of stand in someone else's shoes. The second is empathetic concern, which is really emotional, referring to the ability to feel concerned about what others are going through, right? To really be able to feel concerned about what another person is going through. And so I want to read an excerpt from their book, because I thought this content was really important to share as I was reading through it. I go, you know what? I'm just going to share it in terms of the Courting Happiness community, because I really think that this is really impactful. So this is coming from their book, again, Awakening Compassionate Work, The Quiet Power That Elevates People and Organizations. You can actually find their book on our website at drcourtneyalston.com. It's in our happiness library. But what I love so much is really how they're having us really rethink and really value the importance of empathy. So this is what they say. Empathy can be difficult to access at work. Our willingness and capacity to feel concern for other people or take their perspective is easily blocked by task, focus, time pressure, and high cost of making errors. When work conditions make empathy seem costly, for instance, if expressing concern for someone who made a mistake might make us seem equally to blame, we might shut down our feelings. We may actually feel indifference or even aversion when we encounter suffering at work if the situation is costly. So while our brains are wired with the capacity to feel empathy instantly and automatically in the presence of others, our work may put obstacles in our path. When that happens, we have to choose to extend ourselves, to take ourselves perspectives, and to invite the feelings that widen our circles of concern. I really value the fact that, in terms of really looking at different organizations and understanding what those complexities may be in the office, but is really, really valuing us in terms of the human existence, right? Being humane, as Dr. Shore mentioned, right? Really valuing the importance of connecting, especially as human beings. And so I really value what they're sharing, because I think it's so important to talk about what those complexities can be, but then also really looking at how we can challenge and think about the importance of well-being in the workplace, the importance of thinking about others, the importance of perspective taking, the importance of empathy. It's interesting because a student approached me this semester about this. And so it was interesting because she came to me to let me know, because I've canceled, unfortunately, a couple of classes because of dealing with health issues. And she told me, Dr. Alston, I'm praying for you. I go, wow, this is so beautiful. I said, oh, thank you so much. And she says, I am praying for you. I've been praying for your health, and because you're just such a caring person and I really value you. And then she went on by talking about empathy and how I told her how important empathy is right now during the pandemic, right? As we're talking about all of these different dynamics that we're dealing with and different stressors. And I shared with her how important it is for empathy to be spread all throughout the university, from professor to student to student to professor to staff to leadership, the executive team. Empathy is so important because it allows us to really see a person, even if we may not know the complete story, right? It allows us to see that person and value the fact that this person may be going through levels of suffering or understanding the levels of that person, or just really maybe actively listening to that person. There's so many different factors to process in terms of that. But I think there's so many rewards in the importance of being empathetic. I treasured that conversation with her clearly because I wanted to share it with you all as well, because I think it's important that we talk about this. I think it's important that we really begin and if you're in a leadership position, to really value the importance of the compassion at work. And as I often tell leaders and managers, and I share this also in my workshops when I'm dealing with individuals and or working with different, different people as it relates to their professional lives. And compassion at work is so important, but I always tell people it starts with yourself. I think when you're practicing self-compassion and that you can be kind to yourself, it helps create this ripple effect in terms of kindness for others. And so that's why I say I always tell people, in terms of, self-compassion, thinking about being kinder to yourself. That's one of the reasons why I love the work of Dr. Kristin Neff. I probably talk about her often. And, her book, Self-Compassion, and actually has her latest book, Fierce Self-Compassion, and it is fierce. I love her book. So it speaks to the level of really speaking kindly. And I think when you're an individual that does that, right, that can speak kindly to yourself and is practicing self-compassion, and then you want to create this ripple effect as it relates to all things compassion. And in this case, all things compassion at work. So we can learn a lot from Primary. That is the company, that's the online children's retailer. And this is a company who I actually went and started to do more research about their organization. And I love their mission because they started this company because they wanted to provide every color to every kid. So not simply pink is for girls or blue or for boys. They created a company with every color for every kid, with no labels and no slogans. They mentioned how they didn't really, they didn't want to conform. They believed in rewriting the rules in retail. And I love that because they not only rewrote the rules in retail, they are doing just that as it relates to business. I hope this empowers you to rethink your employee wellness program. Begin thinking about how you can continue to create opportunities to really create better well-being in the workplace, and possibly you looking at maybe shortening your work week, right? In terms of having a 4-day work week and what that looks like. But empower your team, right? Empower your team in terms of being and having and really creating this compassionate organization that focuses in on the value, right, of each other. And then also the value of powering down. So that's one of the things I love about what the co-CEOs at Primary did, is that they valued having time for their team to shut down or to really recharge or to go to that doctor's visit, or to maybe catch a game that you haven't been able to catch with in terms of your child's game, or being able to just have a moment after working, right? In terms of, their workload. I love that about them. I think it's so much that we can learn as relates to Primary. But I want to end with a quote with an incredible guest that was on Courting Happiness, Catherine Bell of the Awaken Company. She is incredible. And so I thought, this is a great opportunity to share her quote. And she says, what we can do to change engagement is to positively notice another person. So let's work on positively noticing, making positive changes to really a greater place at work as it relates to well-being and wellness. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. And I look forward to hearing more about what you feel about this article too. Have a great day. Let's continue this conversation online. Email us at podcast@drcourtneyalston.com. That's podcast@drcourtneyalston.com. Join us on Instagram at Courting Happiness. Don't forget, that's courting with a K. Also, I hope you join our private Facebook community. You can find us at Courting Happiness Podcast Community. Our private Facebook group is a safe haven to share, meet more people looking to build positive relationships, focus on well-being, and create a happier life. Now, are you ready to spread happiness? We hope you subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, coworkers, and all the important people in your world. We release a new episode every Thursday. Congratulations on your continued commitment to your courting happiness journey. Thank you so much for listening. We want you to be well, be happier, and be kinder to yourself. We can't wait to see you next week.